Hey folks, thanks for tuning into my channel. In this video, I'm going to answer a question that I have been asked repeatedly over the last year. In fact, I've lost count how many times I've been asked this question. And that question is, how do you go from a luxury 42-foot long, almost top of the line fifth wheel to a more basic travel trailer that I'm sitting in right here that's only about a little over 20 feet in length? I mean, how do you go from one extreme to the other, and why did you do it? Now, if you're new to the channel, a little over 3 years ago, I started a series with my Jayco Pinnacle. It was a 2021 Jayco Pinnacle fifth wheel. The floor plan was the 37 MDQS, that's the mid-bunk floor plan. And the Jayco Pinnacle, really, that's at the top of their line, at least in the fifth wheel space. And, you know, arguably in the production fifth wheel space, it's one of the nicer fifth wheels out there in terms of amenities and features and so forth. And so I started that series about 3 years ago, did a ton of videos. I'll put a playlist and everything down below if you're curious, but I really enjoyed that fifth wheel. I mean, it just had so much in it. There were 4 TVs, there were 2 bedrooms, there was just beautiful woodwork and carpentry throughout, especially with the cabinetry, just a giant luxurious shower and just so much space. It had 4 slide outs. So, I mean, it was like a, luxurious vacation home on wheels. And we would take that fifth wheel out on just about every family vacation. And then about a year ago, I sold it and bought this instead. This is my 2024 Grand Design Imagine XLS, and the floor plan is a 21 BHE. It's a no-slide bunkhouse. Very simple, very straightforward. In fact, just to put it in another frame of light, I could have bought 3 of these, the travel trailer that I'm sitting in right now, or one of the Pinnacles that I used to own. And so why did I go from that luxury fifth wheel, that 42-foot long fifth wheel, to this small, basic travel trailer, right? And a lot of suggestions have been put out there. Thankfully, I haven't lost my job. I'm very grateful for that. And no, it wasn't because there was something problematic with the Jayco Pinnacle or that it was cheap quality or anything like that. It had nothing to do with that. Well, today I'm going to put all the rumors to rest. The real reason that we switched here to this travel trailer, if I had to summarize, I'd put it under 2 different reasons. One being travel goals, and then 2 being just a learning experience. And what I mean by that is, if you're a fellow RVer, then you know that RVing is a lot about learning. And when we first started RVing about 10 years ago, we had a very similar travel trailer in many regards. It was a little bit longer, a little bit more spacious, but very similar in a lot of ways. And then from there, we thought, well, maybe it'd be nice to have some more features, some more amenities, right? More space, more size, more slide outs, things like that. And you start, trying different floor plans in different RVs. This is my 5th RV, by the way. And then sometimes you realize, okay, well, maybe those different features and amenities didn't pan out the way you expected, or maybe having all that space, all those extra slides doesn't always pan out the way you expect it to. And so really, as a learning experience, I would say that definitely came into play. I really enjoyed that Pinnacle. I mean, it was just so luxurious, so much space, so many features. But there was a lot to maintain. There was a lot to keep up with. And there was a lot to set up and tear down, when you get to a campsite each time. So I think learning experience would be a big part, but then also travel goals, in that we realized that a lot of the places we wanted to go, state parks and other places nearby, we were too big to fit in them with the Pinnacle. Being 42 foot long, it was a wide body. And so, some state parks have restrictions on how long you can be, or campsites, availability of campsites at least, where they only accommodate certain lengths. And so there's a lot of places we just couldn't fit in because either, A, there were no spaces, no campsites that were large enough, or B, maybe there was 1 or 2 campsites in the entire state park that could accommodate us, but they were always booked up and you'd have to book so far in advance that we just couldn't get in. Or maybe even the terrain, throughout the campsite had grade changes that were just so steep and severe that it would just be too risky to try bringing in such a large, expensive RV like that. And so that's really what drove the change here to this smaller travel trailer. And so with that, let me just share briefly, over the last year, we're almost up to a year of ownership with this travel trailer, some of the pros and benefits that I've noticed right off the bat. The first being, when I'm booking a campsite, I can fit in just about anywhere. I don't think there has been a situation so far where I've had to choose a different campsite or look for one that would accommodate us because we're so short. There's no slides. You know, we can easily fit pretty much wherever we want in any state park, just about any campsite out there. And so that is really nice because we can go places that we couldn't go before, or even last minute book a site somewhere that's smaller and shorter because we can fit into it. So that's definitely a pro. Now, the other big pro that I've noticed is we mainly camp on the weekends. I would describe us as, you know, the weekend warrior style of RVers. And so a lot of times our trips are on the weekends, maybe 2 nights, 3 nights, perhaps even 1 night. And so the ability to get in a campsite and out of a campsite is really important to be able to do that quickly and efficiently. And so at the Pinnacle, you know, it was just so large. There's 4 slides and so many things to set up and tear down. A lot of it was just pushing buttons, but still there was a lot involved in setting up and tearing down. Whereas here on this travel trailer, it's just so simple. There's no slides. The jacks are just, you know, manual crank style. And so that simplicity has made a huge difference when we go camping somewhere. It's just a lot faster to set up and tear down, to get in and out, a lot less hassle. There are fewer things that can break, you know, kind of transitioning into maintenance with this travel trailer. It's just so simple. There's fewer moving parts, fewer things that I have to keep up with in terms of maintaining. And of course, it's just smaller. So that's less cleaning, you know, less on the outside and inside for that matter. And so it's a lot more efficient in terms of the time I have to take in between trips or before and after trips, you know, prepping it. After trips and so forth. And so that is a huge pro that I'm really enjoying right now. It just gives me a lot more time to spend with my family doing the things that we really want to do at the campsite, whether it's, you know, going on a hike or enjoying the state park and so forth. So I think there's something to be said about simplicity when you're RVing, that, you know, sometimes we can get a little bit too advanced, too many features, and there's just a lot of things to maintain and keep up with, where, you know, sometimes being simple, it just gives you more time to actually do those things that you enjoy while you're camping. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying if you have a Pinnacle, if you're one of my Pinnacle friends watching this, or another luxury fifth wheel, or just something that's more, you know, spacious, that you're shallow or that you've got the wrong goals. Don't get me wrong. I don't mean that at all. But that's just one thing that I've really noticed about this smaller travel trailer. It's very refreshing, the simplicity. And so I've really enjoyed that aspect. Now, is it all pros? You know, I want to be fair. There are some downsides to having a smaller travel trailer like this one here. You know, one is the space. If we go camping on a weekend and it's, you know, kind of rainy outside, and so we're confined to the inside of the RV, well, you know, it's not quite as spacious. And so you're kind of more all crammed in together. Usually that doesn't happen, but when it does, that is certainly one downside. And then, of course, this travel trailer, you know, it's more of a kind of basic entry-level travel trailer. And so, yeah, maybe the quality of the materials, the components, isn't quite at the same level of some of the components that were in my previous fifth wheel in the Pinnacle. But to be fair, at the same time, there's a lot of components here, believe it or not, in this travel trailer that are the exact same components, or very similar at least, to what was in the Pinnacle in terms of, you know, just construction, the way the walls are made, windows, things like that, even, you know, vent fans, air conditioners, that sort of thing. And so it's not like the quality is just drastically different in here, but, you know, there's not as much solid wood. Some of the surfaces, like the countertops, aren't solid, and so you just have to be a little bit more careful with it. But I think if you take care of any RV, you know, you can make it last longer and make it so it doesn't just fall apart. But at the same time, circling back to that discussion on quality, believe it or not, I've had the fewest issues with this travel trailer that I'm sitting in right now compared to all the previous RVs that I've owned. And so I think that says something about simplicity. There's fewer things to break or to go wrong because it's so simple. It doesn't have any slides. It doesn't have the gaskets and seals around the slide. It doesn't have the slide motors. It doesn't have any hydraulic jacks or hydraulic fluid. Everything's manual, right? And so I think that simplicity can go a long way in terms of, you know, having issues or just the reliability of a particular RV. The simpler it is, the fewer things that can break. And so all that to say, I am really enjoying this RV. You know, it's been almost a year now, and we have gotten to go some pretty amazing places as a family over the last year that we would not have been able to go in the previous Pinnacle fifth wheel. And so I'm really enjoying that aspect a lot. Now moving forward, I'm going to continue putting out content here on the channel related to all things RVing and trucks, and maybe sometimes some other stuff here and there. But you know, really I think my forte and what I enjoy most is doing videos on products related to RVing and trucks, kind of doing reviews on them and really anticipating questions that I have or that I think you might have as a viewer, and then answering those questions by doing the review on that particular product. Because, you know, after all, when we spend money on a product, especially if it's a higher ticket item, we want to know how it performs and what it's like to own it. And so I try to make my videos, you know, tailored toward answering those types of questions and really just providing, you know, helpful information. And then I'll also plan to continue publishing videos that focus on solving problems, you know, providing creative solutions to those nuisances, those problems that bug us as RVers and truck owners. And for those curious, this has kind of become almost a side hustle for me, you know, a hobby that I do on the side. I mean, I really didn't expect the channel to grow like it has over the last few years. And for those who don't know, this channel started during COVID when I had the idea to rent out a smaller overlanding style rig. And so I wanted to rent it out on the side to encourage families to spend time in the great outdoors. COVID happened. Well, just so happened that I made an orientation video on that RV. It was a Nobo 10.6. And I made an orientation video for my renters so that they could watch that instead of me having to go through the rig each time in person. Long story short, that video got a lot of interest. People started asking questions like, how did you do that mod on the RV? And how did you do this one? Can you do more videos? And so one thing led to another, and here we are today. And so really, this is just something I do on the side as I can work in time into my schedule to do these videos. But I plan to continue, and typically I do about, you know, one video per week or so. So I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone for your support, for watching the channel, for using the affiliate links to help support the channel. And just say a huge thanks for subscribing and tuning in. As always, thanks for watching.